So I guess for like some reason they wanted me to mute while we do this super quick countdown today. Everyone in the chat, it's just Kay today. Oh, sad. Yeah, Sammy and Mike are awesome. I highly recommend following them both on social media. You can carry along with their trip. They have so many cool people out there. Like so many cool people are in Egypt right now, and I'm at home being fat and pregnant and eating lots of satsumas, a bunch of British chocolates, beans. We still have beans. If you were here for a Hugh Newman show with JJ, that was a fun one. But I'd just like to thank everyone for still tuning in today, even though it's just me. We do have our Michael Button interview, which I checked yesterday, and I know how to upload it because it worked yesterday. So we're going to make sure it works again today. I'm going to hit that and go live in a minute. Just going to kind of wait for folks to get in here, get up to like somewhere around our like regular numbers, hopefully. And just have like a nice time. It is a pre-record, so we can't do any live questions. But if you send me your questions, I will do the research while the interview is going on, and I will make sure that we answer as many of them as possible. And I'm just like really excited. It does feel weird to riff a little bit without Mike and Sammy being here. I'm really scared I'm going to break something. Not that scared, really. It's kind of all Mike's fault for leaving me alone to do this. So if anything goes wrong, we can just blame him. It doesn't really matter. Like, there are no rules. Like, who cares? It's just me. It's just you guys. We're going to hang out. We're going to have a nice time. Let me see if I can actually get this video up. I kind of want to give it like 5 minutes, though, just to let people come in. But then I also think a lot of people are going to watch this show later and they don't want to see me sit here and waffle. Like, if I'm allowed to just sit here and waffle, all we're going to end up talking about is like conspiracy theories, of which I think most of them at this point. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of the mattress store conspiracy theory. That's one of my favorites. I was introduced to that, I think, during COVID by some guy one of my neighbors was dating back in Los Angeles. But yeah, Craig loves pyramids. Thank you for your comment. Let's bring this up. Yeah, it is going to be anarchy. It's going to be freaking anarchy. I'm trying not to swear, though, because I really don't want to get demonetized straight off the bat. I don't want Mike coming back and being like, you got the whole show demonetized because you cussed out stuff. And I'm like, yeah, you left me alone, bro. What were you thinking? Like, even if it was like me and Sammy, we'd be running around like the gremlins after midnight after eating like, yeah, waffles, some maple syrup, and a side of sausage and bacon. That's what I kind of feel like, but like a gremlin after eating that after midnight. I'm totally going to drag Sammy down with me. She would be exactly the same, even though no one knows if Sammy is real or not. One just assumes that she is also a gremlin like me because, we get on so well. But yeah, anyway, back to the mattress store conspiracy theory. So it's this idea that all the mattress stores during COVID stayed open because they were all having work done on their roofs. So I don't know about you guys. I've never bought a mattress from a mattress store. Then again, I'm cheap. I would buy it on like Amazon or something. I don't really know. But the theory is that underneath every single mattress store is a government bunker. And so if there's an emergency, all of the elites know to go and hide out in a mattress store. Okay, great. We've gotten myself cancelled. Mike's furious. We're loving life. We're having so much fun. We're just living in this anarchy. I am gonna get the video up and running in a second, though, guys. I just really want to thank everyone for just continuing to tune in every single week. I don't know how many of you are heading out to the conference. Remember the conference? Scottsdale, Arizona, this December. Get your tickets. You can also watch via live stream. Highly recommend. That's what I'm going to be doing because I'm too fat and pregnant to travel. And I run out of breath a lot now these days. We have way too many cats and spend half my day chasing them around. You'd think that'd be exercise, but it's not. So I definitely can't wander around a conference at I think at that point I'll be more than 30. I think I'll be about 30 weeks pregnant. So I won't be there, but we can all hang out on the live stream tonight. Even though we're not doing any real-time chats, I will be in the chat hanging out. So we'll have a good little chat since that's what it's named after. And we'll go on there. Will there be a link on the channel to the live stream? Yeah, I think we're just going to spam everyone with the links. But let me make a note, Tom. In fact, let me do that right now. We need links to the live stream. And I think it's probably about time that we start pushing it. There are some I can't remember who altogether is doing it. But there are some pretty big names running the live stream. And I was like, whoa, Mike, I didn't know that you had so many cool friends. I mean, obviously I knew you were friends with me and Sammy. So obviously you have cool friends, but I didn't know how many you had. But yeah, we're going to get into the interview now. So this is a pre-record that we did with Michael Button. I think we did it about a week ago because the time difference between the UK and here, I think it's about 5 hours for me, 6 hours for Mike, about 1 million hours for Sammy. Again, we don't know if Sammy's real, so it doesn't really matter. But this was a really fun one. I loved Michael to pieces. It was so funny. I actually met Michael Button through Michael Collins, the wolf. And we were on the phone one day. Michael Collins said to me, hey, I've got this friend, Michael Button. He's a Brit. He had some questions about getting his visa and stuff like that. Would you be willing to talk to him? And I'm just an idiot and didn't put two and two together and didn't realize that he was putting me in touch with Michael Button. And so we're on the phone for an hour or two, just going through bunch of visa stuff. And I'm like, wait, Mike, tell me again what it is you do. And then it clicked. And I was like, oh my gosh, yeah, you'll be fine. You'll get a visa. Don't even worry about it. And so it's always really exciting. We've got hopefully another interview coming up. I don't think this is a spoiler, but Graham of the Graham Hancock, the GOAT of ancient civilization, is going to be joining us on the stream. Graham's been a really good friend for a long time now. I really love and respect him, his family, his work. And we just bond over being Brits who do weird stuff because Brits don't like it when other Brits do weird stuff. But anyway, so no one wants to listen to me anymore. I'm talking blah, 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 just word vomit at this point. Let me get up this video and let us all say a little prayer and hope it all works. And I will see you guys in the chat.
And we're going.
I think we need to say thank you to Michael for being our first test subject when it comes to a pre-record.
Yeah.
So thank you, Michael, for joining us.
That's all good. Hopefully it goes well.
Yeah, hopefully we don't delete it halfway through and then we have nothing. But at least we got to hang out for an hour or so. That would have been nice.
Yeah. Just hang out. And then, Michael, you have some experience with that, right? You told me a story. Now, I'm not going to, make you tell me all the details, but you had an experience doing a record like that didn't go so well before.
Yeah, I did that with Graham. Yeah, I already messed that one up, but he was lucky enough. He was nice enough to do it again with me, but yeah, that was embarrassing to say the least.
I think if you're doing stuff like this, we've all done it, right? So I am really excited to have you here today on the show. We got to hang out recently over in the UK. You were kind enough to take me around and show me some stuff. And this meteoric rise that you've had over the last year has been incredible and deserved.
Mm-hmm.
If anybody hasn't watched your content, they need to go check it out ASAP, because I don't know how you just came out of nowhere just doing such an amazing job, but it clearly shows that you have already put in the work before you ever started putting out content, and just knowing what you're all about as far as the space that you're in. Can you tell us a little bit about that with the last year? I mean, I already asked you in person, but I'm sure people would love to know too. This last year has to have been pretty crazy.
Yeah, thanks, Mike. It's been a crazy year, and thank you both of you for having me on the show. Yeah, it's been nuts. So I started my YouTube about just over a year ago now. I think it was September 24. So we're now November. So yeah, a year and a couple months. And no one even watched me for like ages. It was just me shouting into the void to no one for like 6 months of that. But then, yeah, around March time, things started kicking off, and I got a few videos that did good numbers. And then, you know, the ball started rolling, and I grew and grew and grew, and then went on Rogan in August. So that was amazing and very surreal. And yeah, I've been loving every minute of it. So it's been a great time. I feel incredibly grateful that I can, you know, talk about these ideas that I'm interested in. And yeah, I mean, the reason I probably popped off so quick is while I only started the YouTube just over a year ago, I've been thinking about these ideas for a lot longer than that. You know, I've had this kind of seed in my brain ever since I did my degree in ancient history regarding our past, regarding human origins, regarding human intelligence, regarding the story of civilization, regarding the dawn of human culture and when that possibly could have been. And I've been thinking about all these themes for a very long time. So it was just a case of kind of packaging that into a nice, neat video format, which is what I started to do with the beginning of my YouTube channel. And yeah, it's been a crazy ride since then.
Wait,
and you're grinding.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're grinding right now. Like, how many videos are you putting out? A video every week?
I try to do a video a week. Yeah, I mean, it's getting hard. I can't lie. It's getting hard just to do all the research and writing it all and everything like that. But that's my intention. We'll see how long that lasts. But yeah, I try to do a video a week, and yeah, I'm grinding.
Yeah. Well, like, it's definitely showing. And I think that's like, I don't know, you both have that kind of in your own unique ways, you have that kind of appeal where, you know, when you watch Wandering Wolf, when you watch Mike, you feel like you're in these places traveling, like just standing next to you, Mike. And then Michael, with you feel like, you know, you're being transported back to these places. And, you know, it's not just like the learning aspect of it. I think there's like an intrinsic, almost like indescribable, like this is clearly what you're both meant to be doing. And I just think it's so flippin' cool. I think that's awesome. Mike, where did you go and do your degree?
I did it in Birmingham in the UK. So that's the second biggest city in the UK for those American listeners. At the University of Birmingham.
After that, had you been to America before you came over here and went on Rogan?
That was only the second time I've been to US. I came once when I was a kid. I went to New York when I was about 10, which I was very lucky to do. But that was the only time I'd ever been to America. So yeah, a bit of a culture shock. Extremely hot down there in Austin as well. In the summer. It's like very hot.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I mean, we're still hitting 90s and stuff this week in the 90s here. I don't know what that is in Celsius. So
yeah, I can't do Fahrenheit. I have no idea what that means.
It's extremely warm. It doesn't get that hot in the UK, so you don't need to know what 90 is. It's like above 30. Like,
oh yeah, you guys start dying. You guys start dying over there in Britain, and when it gets in the 80s, I think people start passing away just of heat exhaustion, just dropping dead on the street. So you guys, it's tough coming over to Texas.
I was gonna say, it's just like going from, you know, I don't know, when I was growing up in the UK, I always said if Wales specifically had the climate of like Southern California, I don't know if I'd ever have left.
Yeah,
but because it doesn't makes it so easy to just be like, bye.
Like the opposite climate, to be honest.
Yeah. No, my parents text me. They're like, oh my God, we're going to have a heat wave this week. And then I do the conversion and it's like 73 degrees. And I'm like, oh, bless. It's going to be 100 in the shade with like 100% humidity in North Carolina.
Oh gosh, yeah.
I know. But we're so like the other thing, when I met my husband, he brought this up yesterday. How I just didn't use AC because in California, you don't like it. There's no legislation that demands that rental properties have air conditioning. So I never had air conditioning in California. So then when I moved to North Carolina, and obviously growing up in the UK and Europe, we don't have air conditioning. You just naturally have to adjust to whatever the weather's doing and just get on with it. They do have heaters, but it never really gets cold enough in California to use the heaters. And so when we met, he was like, yeah, guys, she didn't even use AC when we first met. I had to teach her how it works and how to use it and what all the buttons do. And now I feel like I'm just completely lost touch with how to adjust to whatever the actual temperature is. I expect the temperature to adjust to me. So, if they sent me back right now to one of the ancient times that, you're sort of like that you guys both talk about, I don't know if I'd handle it that well. I don't know. I think you guys would do better than me. But I don't know.
Yeah. Well, in all fairness, even if you guys can't handle the heat in Texas, like I definitely am not built for the cold over in the UK for sure. I mean, yeah, I feel like I'm gonna die over there when it's cold. So I'd much rather be hot than cold personally. So you were in Birmingham, went to school in Birmingham, made your way back to, well, I don't want to, to the London area. I'm not trying.
We don't want to dox you
we're not
on
trying
the
to
live stream.
you, right? But everybody knows you're a Brit, right? So, school and then work and then, but this stuff has been in your mind for a while and it just developed into you. I'm pretty familiar too, which is why this is really interesting to me, of the process of stepping away from the security of a regular day, 9 to 5, job type of a job can be a bit, that's tough to do. That's really tough to do. So there's a lot of things that really interest me about that process for you, about believing in yourself first of all, taking the chance, foregoing the security of a regular paycheck, and then grinding it out. It sounds like even if it's just for 6 months, that can be tough, right? So there had to be a process of saving up and preparing, and then believing that you could do this, even if there was an overlap between work and making videos. There's a point where you're stepping away, and it's kind of like not having a safety net anymore. And so that's a process that always fascinates me, because I've been through it. And so what was that like for you?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of scary, I'm not gonna lie, because obviously, as you say, you don't want to just like give up your job and then all your videos flop and then you look like a bit of an idiot and have to go crawling back. But I mean, I'm quite early in the process as well. I mean, it's only been a few months since I've been doing this full time, but hopefully, fingers crossed, we can keep it going. But yeah, I mean, kind of nerve wracking. But at the end of the day, this is something I'm fascinated by and something I'm really passionate about. And so if I can continue to do this as a career, then that's just a massive win, because I love it. And like that old phrase, like if you love working, then you never work, or something like that. There's some kind of way of saying that. But I mean, I love what I do. So hopefully I can keep it going. And
you jumped over that 100K mark. What'd you do? Did you get the plaque?
I did get the plaque. Yeah, I have it in the background of my videos now, but it's kind of a little bit out. But yeah, I got the plaque.
Congratulations. That's awesome, man. And deserved. It seems like you're growing more and more every day. So I don't think you have anything to worry about. People love your content.
This is definitely what you were meant to do.
Yeah. Clearly a natural teacher, right, Kay?
Oh, 100%. 100%. Like natural educator. Actually, okay, so two things. One, it's also like pretty much unheard of in the UK for British people to step away and make that leap, especially the way that you did it. Sort of like sounds very much like ripping off a band-aid type vibes. So that's huge. Congratulations on not bowing down to the culture. Mike had to deal with some of our cultural quirks when he was last out there getting censored on social media. How dare
for the
you?
Word idiot. All I said was idiot.
Idiot.
I tried to type out idiot while I was in London on Instagram and I couldn't do it. So
it's so weird. But other thing, what do you do your thesis on? Because that's like one of my favorite things, especially speaking to Brits who've done like undergrads and stuff like that. Because I feel like
university.
Yeah,
I did it on gladiators and how they were portrayed in the media going through, and how they've been like used. I can't really remember. This was a while ago. How they've been used as like a political kind of symbol throughout history since like the 1800s all the way through to the modern day. something like, I can't remember what I said, but
Have you done a video on that?
No, maybe I should. Yeah,
That's so cool. Well, I don't know. I don't know. I'm still like such an academic nerd that I always like to ask people, because like out here I don't think you do a thesis or a dissertation with your bachelor's. Like I don't know any of my friends that did one. I think it's more like when you get up to that like PhD level, and then people get PhDs, get so annoying about it. It's like, we get it, you're a doctor of science.
Well, and Michael's been having some great interactions recently with the PhD community.
Ooh, yeah, let's get straight into that. Let's start with that.
Yeah, you're so recently you had some posts that really blew up, and it was on the release of the information regarding the human skull that they found, pushing dates back on humans quite a bit, right?
It was like 500,000 years, so back like 1 million years or something like that. I don't know, Michael. You talk about it. We're not the experts.
Yeah, I mean, well, I'm not an expert either, but yeah, I mean, I seen that come out. So basically, what happened was they found a skull. They've actually already had this skull from ages ago. The skull was discovered in the late 20th century, but they always thought it was Homo erectus. But they did some scans recently. A team in China alongside Professor Chris Stringer at the Natural History Museum in London, and they reconstructed this skull found in China called the Yongxian 2 skull. And what they established was that it was actually likely a member of the Homo longi clade, which is very similar to Denisovan, which crucially is a sister or cousin species, if you like, of Homo sapiens, which suggests that the divergence of the last common ancestor when we split into Denisovan, Neanderthal, Homo sapien occurred before this date, because this fossil already existed. So that means that the divergence happened over 1 million years ago, which suggests that some form of Homo sapien also existed at this incredibly ancient date over 1 million years ago. So yeah, there you go. I mean, that article explained it way better than I just did, but effectively it potentially, if true, potentially pushes back the antiquity of the human species, as in Homo sapien, by almost by pushing back by 500,000 years to the date of almost 1 million years ago, or potentially just over 1 million years ago, which is pretty crazy if you think about it. I mean, if our species has been around for over 1 million years, I would say that's very paradigm shifting. But yeah, I did receive quite a lot of backlash for this. I'm not quite sure why. I mean, I literally just quoted the BBC article that was written about it and just posted that on Twitter, and I had loads of people calling me a pseudoscientist and a grifter and worse things than that perhaps I won't repeat, which I thought was pretty bizarre, because these are serious scientists. This is Natural History Museum London. I'm not sure of the legitimacy of this Chinese scientists, but I respect the Natural History Museum, so yeah, I was just reporting on it, and I think it's really interesting, but others perhaps didn't like it as much, and there's still quite a lot of debate raging about it. I've seen some people say that it's not that shocking of a discovery. I would definitely say it is quite a paradigm shifting discovery, and I would say it does rewrite the story of human evolution. I would say if the dating is true, it strongly does suggest that people like us, or at least similar to us, or at least our distinct lineage, would have been around 1 million years ago, and that is crazy.
That is wild. And then like we went from well, this country in and of itself is under 250 years. I mean, it is older, but like, America as it is today is 250 years old. And we went from like boats and not even really being able to like fly planes 120 years ago, something like that, to, sending stuff up into space. Obviously, no one landed on the moon, but that's not what today's stream is going to be about. We're not going to get into aliens, don't worry. But for us to have, for us to think that over the course of 1 million years that we were the first to reach any kind of sophisticated technology seems pretty egotistical and ignorant and, dare I say it, like narcissistic, I think, to think that we're
definitely
able to do it.
I think that kind of is the basis that I come at everything from, is like, this doesn't make sense anymore. This idea that nothing happened, that human beings made no technological progress for the entirety of prehistory until the Neolithic Revolution, which still is the mainstream opinion, that human beings did the same thing for that whole time. They lived in small bands of hunter-gatherers. They roamed around searching for resources, searching for somewhere to sleep. And that's what all they did for this entire huge stretch of time, 300,000 years on Homo sapien fossils, potentially up to 1 million years on this divergence. For that entire time, 99% of our history, apparently we didn't really progress at all. We just kind of did the same kind of thing. And then suddenly we invent farming, and then everything happens, you know, the entirety of human history happens.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's never made sense to me. That's kind of that's where I come from when I make these videos and stuff. And I think it's perhaps more a case of recency bias and preservation bias. So we look back at the last 5,000 years since the invention of writing, and we have quite a lot of evidence for that. And so we say, look at all this stuff that happened. And then the further back in time you go, the more murky it gets, the harder it is to see stuff. The evidence is lost. And so we just assume that nothing happened. But I don't think that's the case. I think that we're basing our view of history on these old models that we've had in regards to thinking about this. So when not too long ago in the late 20th century, people looked at history, we looked at the age of our species. And back then, literally only a few decades ago, we thought that Homo sapiens were only 30,000 years old. And then they discovered some new remains, and it was like, okay, we're 50,000 years old. And then it was like, oh, actually, we're 100,000 years old. Now we're 200,000 years old. And then in 2018, it came out that we were 300,000 years old. And so the fossil evidence has moved on dramatically, but the mental model we have of looking at history is still based on what we decided 50 years ago when we thought we were relatively young as a species. And so that's kind of the main thing I'm trying to challenge. And yeah, obviously this human skull potentially pushes it back almost twice as long as that, or more than twice as long as that, which was just crazy. But yeah, it doesn't make sense to me that we did nothing. I think human beings are such an intelligent and adaptable species, and we've shown how much we can achieve in a very short period of time in the last, even in the last couple hundred years, but then since the invention of writing and the dawn of civilization only 5,000 years ago, we've done incredible things. So then you put little 5,000 year sections throughout our history and you think, what could we have done? How high could we have risen and then fallen afterwards? And what could we have lost? And how likely is it that we'd even see anything to survive? So yeah, that's how I base my view of history on. And that's where I come out with a lot of my videos. And
do you look at history as a linear timeline of progression that just has slowly evolved and gotten more advanced?
I don't. I mean, that's how it's viewed, right? That's how it's viewed. It's viewed as like a really slow line, which has no improvement, and then goes right up, right at the very end, in the last 1%. I don't think that's likely. I think it's probably more like whoop, and then we get knocked back down, and then whoop, we get knocked back down, and maybe like we're at the highest peak now. Like that's a perfectly reasonable thing to say. We've done some amazing things. You know, we put man on the moon, and
no, we didn't. Sorry.
Right, we definitely went to space, right? I mean, we
definitely went to space. I'll give you that.
We've done crazy things. You can agree to that. We've done crazy things, and I'm not saying that in the past people were doing stuff like that, but I'm also not necessarily sure they didn't really do anything other than live in caves.
What do you think the push is? What do you think it really boils down to? That pushback that's so from the academic community around anything like this that changes big understandings of our history, because this is, like you said, this is the implications for a discovery like this are massive, right? This is if we're looking now of a timeline of 1 million years, these things, like you just said, these ups and downs and different things, they make a lot more sense, especially just in our clear understanding of the history that we have to us, that we clearly understand. We know that there's ups and downs and different things, just in the last 5,000 years.
Yeah.
Why is the pushback so, even for you, just simply, basically reporting on an article and sharing that with the public, and it's not even your words, you're just presenting the findings. Where does that anger and hate come from?
Well, I mean, I think partly it's an ex-Twitter issue. I think that it kind of breeds people, you know what I mean? Like people like that are just angry and they're on Twitter all day, and they seem like a massive majority of people, but in fact it's just a few minority of angry archaeologists typing away. So I don't think it's like everyone, like all the whole archaeological community or the historical community. I think it's a very loud minority of people that really want to suppress these ideas for some reason. I'm not quite sure why they do. Perhaps it plays into the idea of, they've built a career around being, the keeper of knowledge or the purveyor of knowledge, right? Their whole social status comes from being the expert in something. And then if someone like me comes along and starts saying, I don't think that's true, then that's naturally a threat to their position in society, I guess, and or at least just their ego in some way. So they don't like it for that reason. So yeah, I think it kind of comes from that. People don't like someone like me going off on rants like that as well, because I'm not like a qualified historian. Do you know what I mean?
Well, you are. You've got a flipping degree in it.
I got a degree, yeah, I guess.
That
but I'm
counts.
not professional, you know.
If you've written, no, it does count. Like, you've got a degree in it. You've written your dissertation in it, and no offense, Americans, but like as a former ghostwriter of PhD dissertations, the British bachelor's dissertation is basically the same as what most Americans do for their PhD dissertation. Like, literally qualitative, quantitative, it's pretty much the same.
Yeah, it was tough. It was 14,000 words.
Yeah.
Really long.
Well, it's like a length thing then. I guess that would be the difference. Because they'll go up to about 40 to 60,000 words sometimes.
Really?
But they bulk it with a lit review. Like, the lit review is a majority.
Oh, yeah, that doesn't count.
Like in your discussion, it's just like the way that they do the subheadings. So if you've got a long lit review, then you've got a lot of space to, prevaricate essentially. But sticking on the theme though of education, were you having, was your sort of come to Jesus moment about the massive gaping holes in our understanding of the science of ancient history? Were you having those thoughts while you were at university, or was that something that came later? And if so, how do you navigate that?
Yeah, so it happened during my course of study, basically. So I went into my degree without any, awareness of the alternative view of history of anything like that. I was fully in the mainstream.
First.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so it was during my degree that actually the fossil remains from Morocco came out. So the Jebel Irhoud remains from Morocco were discovered they were reclassified in 2018. And I saw that story and I was like, wow, the antiquity of our species just got pushed back by another 100,000 years, which was, an extra half, because they were 200,000 years before then. So it was another 50%, right? Or an extra third. Whatever you want to call it. It was a long time, right? So they pushed back humans by ages. And I was looking at that and I was like, well, how are we still basing our view on history that nothing happened for this, 310,000 years? And then Neolithic Revolution and everything happened. What about prehistory, guys? What about all the stuff that could have happened then? And that's when it, formed in my mind, and I started thinking about things from that perspective and started researching alternative viewpoints on these ideas. And that's really what got me started. I started looking at the catastrophic history of the Earth, got inspired by people like Randall Carlson, people like Graham Hancock, and really started diving into it. And that's where it all started. And then I just kept going and going and going. And I mean, I went in and out. After I left my degree, I was kind of done with ancient history. I was like, I don't want to look at this anymore. I'm sick of it. But it never left me. I was always, it was always in the back of my mind. Like, I'm not sure that we've got this story entirely correct. And it came to a point where I felt, I want to start talking about this. I feel like I have a relatively unique position to talk about this, given my academic educational background. And so I decided to start making YouTube videos, and it went well. I'm here today.
Heck yeah, it did go very well. And yeah, it is sort of weird like that, how you can be. I mean, I didn't have that kind of come to Jesus moment when I was at university. I would, like you, it was watching, I think all of us, all roads lead back to Graham and Randall, let's be honest.
Yeah.
It's like you can see the sort of like human side a lot with Graham, and especially when you look at just like, say, the last 13,000 years since the last sort of major cataclysm. Sorry, I don't know what's going on with my lighting. But since the last major cataclysm, at least in my opinion, being centered around that Younger Dryas, whatever it was that caused that. And then you go into Randall's work and you look at the sort of like scarification of the earth and how much the planet shifted over that very short period of time. I mean, God, like, you can go back and watch Al Gore talking about this. And even though he was wrong about, so much of the underlying why the result at the end was still pretty much the same, right, as what we all get into today when we're looking at the Younger Dryas, this sort of massive flood scenario. And when you look at that sort of the human aspect of like, okay, well, how would this affect us if it happened today? How does it look like it's affected humans throughout the past, the sort of Graham side of things? And then you look at the Randall side of things, which is the, you know, just get that man to pull up a graph and you'll start to get really nervous about our place on the planet, and how unstable it is. And then add in sort of an extra 500,000 years of human, whether it is, you know, Homo sapien or some other kind of cousin, our development on this planet. I mean, how many cataclysms are we missing? Like, how many events like this have happened that have just completely wiped us out and pushed us back? We know we're under threat of so many of those different things happening now. And, you know, one bad solar storm, all the satellites come down and we have to kind of restart-ish again anyway. It's so ignorant to think that we haven't been through something similar like that before. I mean, there's literally stuff orbiting the planet that we don't know what it is and no one ever talks about it. But I do kind of want to get into the seafaring stuff with you, because obviously that came up in, I think it was Graham's debate with that creepy little gnome human on Joe Rogan. His name is
are you blocked by him?
I'm not actually. Oh,
you're not.
I'm not. I used to be blocked by him, but now I'm unblocked. I think maybe because he likes to attack me now.
Well, he knows that he can get, like, he thinks he's getting attention when he attacks people. He just doesn't realize that the attention is people being like, ew, gross. Shush. Bless his heart. But you know, that was one of the biggest things that I think like they brought up in that debate, was really talking about this idea of, well, our coastlines have changed a lot, guys. You'll all go on about, you know, sea level rise, blah, blah, blah. No one's disputing that. No one's disputing the fact that the ocean's very powerful. Are we super ignorant to think that it hasn't shifted so dramatically in the past? And obviously, if human nature is to build next to oceans, next to rivers, next to waterways, that the shift in those things hasn't destroyed, you know, whatever it was that we built in the past. But you brought up something that I haven't looked into because I'm pregnant, so I don't look into anything anymore. But the stuff in Indonesia, I don't even know how to pronounce this. It's in our notes. Mike, how do you?
Sulawesi, is that right?
Is it Sulawesi? Is that it? Wesi?
I say Sulawesi, but I mean, I'm not Indonesian, so I'm probably not the authority on this. But yeah, I say Sulawesi. But I mean, yeah, the whole sea level rise and fall question is super interesting, right? Because as you say, Kay, that's the most logical place for humans to build settlements, right? The most logical places for humans to build civilizations. It's the place we've always built on, and it's the place we still have many of our major cities today. They're all by the coast, but loads of them are by the coast. And if you look through history, lots of the most important settlements of the ancient world were by the coast. So then you just have to logically think that through and think how many human settlements since before recorded history began were built by the coast, and probably a lot of them because it's a very logical place to build. And then you look at the graph of sea level change throughout the whole of the human story, and it's up and down, coastlines in by, you know, hundreds and hundreds of kilometers and out again by hundreds and hundreds of kilometers. And that obviously has the potential to completely wipe the record clean of the fact that those cultures, those settlements, those civilizations ever existed. Yeah, there you go. You got it straight from my video. Perfect. Thanks.
This is why we don't do anything without Sammy. It's because this is why we wait for Sammy. She's fun at this stuff.
Gotcha, guys.
Yeah, I mean, yes, that graph, up and down sea levels shows just how drastically they've changed. But what this video that Sammy's got on screen now talks about is Sulawesi, which is an island in Indonesia, and they published a paper in August this year that they found stone tools on Sulawesi that dated to 1.04 to 1.4, I believe, million years ago. So over 1 million years ago. And they say that suggests that humans, some kind of human, not necessarily, probably not sapien because this is very old, but some human ancestor somehow crossed major ocean barriers to get there, because these islands sit east of the Wallace Line, which is a biogeographic boundary that's a very deep ocean channel that's been that way or been disconnected from the mainland for 45 million years or something. So it's been an island for 45 million years. It's something like 100 kilometers across, even at the lowest sea levels of the ice age. So it's a big ocean voyage to do to get to this island. Now, to be clear, we already had evidence of humans on similar islands. So we had the Homo floresiensis people, which are the Hobbit people.
Yeah, I was just about to ask the little Hobbit people, right?
So they were on the island of Flores, and they're dated a little bit earlier, but around about in the neighborhood of 1 million years. And then you've also got Luzon in the Philippines, which is just above, but same area of the world, also east of the Wallace Line, where they found stone tools dated to around 700,000 years ago, which they think were perhaps Homo erectus. So the argument always was that these people got there accidentally, right? That they somehow clung to a piece of driftwood and got blown out in a storm.
Why is that always it's always...
I think it's a crazy theory, because not only do you have to survive such an incredibly ridiculous crossing and like the sun and like the waves and no food and no water and then get to the island alive, you also have to do that in a population large enough to become a breeding population, and then survives for thousands of years and populates the islands.
If I'm remembering correctly, it's not just like you can't just start a population and breed and with a few people.
Yeah,
I think you need
quite a lot of people inbreeding to the point of everyone becomes infertile because it adds chromosomes. Like it doesn't take, like it'll take like 200 years and no one can have kids anymore.
Maybe Sammy can find that, but I think it's something like over 40, or maybe it's over 100. I can't remember how many people you would need who are not genetically related in any way to start to grow a population, like to transplant somewhere like you're talking about, and then develop and grow a population. It's not like, so we just had, let's just go with the minimum one that I suggested, even if it's incredibly wrong, 40. And say you'd have to so we're saying 40 people drifted on, came over drifting on on driftwood, and all together somehow, or it doesn't make sense. Anytime you hear those types of suggestions, it's like why is it so complicated? Why is it so tough to just say they built?
Is this what you're wanting me to look up? A minimum of 160 people.
Oh wow. So that would be, and that's got to be, 80, was that 80 males and 80 females, or is that like 160 breeding pairs?
Yeah, I think you'd need to be, at least be half and half or more female, I would think. Yeah, well, then no, wait. I think this has to be half and half, because you can't be marrying half brothers and sisters or procreating, right?
Yeah, and cousins.
Having the same issues.
Yeah.
The minimum says about 80, so some estimates suggest 80 people would be sufficient with the aid of modern genetics or careful management, but
which they didn't have that kind of stuff.
Right.
So you got to have a minimum of 160 people getting miraculously washed out to sea and ending up on an island. All of them have to be genetically capable of having children, and healthy children that live to adulthood and are able to also breed themselves. How stupid did these people think we are? I mean, honestly, at this point, it's ridiculous. Anyway, carry on.
And I just want to say one more thing before we let you get into it, Mike, because they used the same idea for how monkeys got over into South America, if I remember correctly.
They were washed over there.
Yeah, they were in a storm and got caught on driftwood, and in a storm that took them through the ocean currents and came up on the South American shore, if I remember correctly. So it's the same argument for that.
That's how I'm gonna tell people I ended up in the Carolinas. How'd you end up here? I was washed here, washed out to sea, and I ended up here.
Yeah, I mean, it seems pretty unlikely, right?
Yeah.
That's the theory. I mean, and you can say it's possible. If we just had Flores, which was, I think, the first one to be discovered, you could say, okay, it's possible that somehow 160 or so people got washed away over. Yeah, and then they formed into like little Hobbit people.
Yeah.
Flores. Okay, it's like okay, but then you add Luzon, it's like, okay, this happened twice in the same region. That's a bit odd. That seems to be getting a bit strange now. And then you add Sulawesi, which was what got published a couple of months ago. And then, in my opinion, it's starting to be like, okay, look, this is looking less like a coincidence now. This is looking a lot more like behavior, right? Because there's 3 islands all in the exact same region, all that have been separated by deep ocean channels for tens of millions of years, all that are populated by human populations. So are we really saying that there's been all these freak accidents at the same, or roughly the same time in the same place? Or can we say maybe these humans had the capability, they had the cognition, they had the foresight, they had the planning, they had the intelligence to build a raft, to look out across the horizon, to see, you know, the potential of an island of somewhere to live hundreds of kilometers in the distance, and the bravery and the imagination to go for it, you know, to build a raft and to head off into, I mean, it's a crazy fucking thing to do. There's no way I'd do something like that. But I would argue that clearly this happened because these 3 islands now all in the same region, that is looking like a pattern to my eyes. I see that as a pattern because, you know, what are the chances of that being a coincidence all in the same place? So that's kind of the argument I'm making in the video. But yeah.
That is wild. Did you get as much pushback on that as you did with the skull, or are most people like, oh yeah, okay, it's kind of hard to dispute that?
I like the laugh there.
I did get pushback on that one, but they didn't. I got pushback for the thumbnail, and then people were like, there was all these like Dibble included were like saying, look, he doesn't know about Flores and Luzon, and I was like, bro, you watch the video, man. Like if you watch the video, I highlight that and talk about that. That's like the whole point of the video, right? So they don't even watch the videos; they just hate on me for my thumbnails now. So
no, they hate on you because you're, well, all these tiny little men all want to be famous and popular, and they don't realize that they just don't have it. They're on the wrong side.
Archaeologists that are engaging in this way, you know, you said it earlier, they're a small minority, and they're amplified on platforms like X in terms of it seems more intense because they are very rabid, if you will, in terms of going after people that they disagree with. But it clearly doesn't, and you're absolutely right. I don't think it's representative of the whole archaeological community in terms of the academics, but the ones that are louder, if you've been paying attention to their behavior over the last several years, I don't know that it's even, at what point do you end up saying, well, I don't know if these are even archaeologists anymore. They're aspiring content creators at this point, right? They're some of them are still teachers or professors or whatever, but you know, their focus and energy seems to be on growing content, content creator platforms on YouTube and on social media more than anything else these days. But whatever with them, the theory that that I don't understand why it's so hard. We see these structures being built around the world, these megalithic structures dating back thousands and thousands of years, but it's just unrealistic to assume that people were capable of building boats and crossing the oceans and exchanging information and ideas as well as trading all sorts of things. So that's always been baffling to me, doing all of this and traveling the world and seeing all these things. I love the Hobbit story, though. I love that there is an island that was full of hobbits.
I think it's adorable because that was Flores, right? But didn't they think Denisovan were like little people there for a minute? There was like this theory when they just found like the first pinky bone, I'm pretty sure, of the Denisovan. They were like, oh yeah, they were little, like the people on Flores, and then cut to few years later, not even that many years later, and it's just like, oh no, these guys were fucking massive. Like they were so much bigger than we were expecting. I don't actually know a lot about I can't pronounce it.
Floresiensis, I think, but yeah,
whatever that fancy ass word is.
So basically, we used to live in thousands and tens of thousands of years ago. We basically just used to live in Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
That is kind of cool, though.
Tolkien is inspired by like ancient myths and stuff. Like he was like a scholar of ancient myths at Oxford University. So it's like it's like Lord of the Rings comes from myths, which could come from reality. You know, it could be like a loop of like ancient stories being passed down, and then Tolkien putting that into, you know, his stories, and us all then creating that as a fantasy world. But like it does kind of come from reality in a way, which is quite interesting. And then I always look at as you say, the Flores people being hobbits and think, well, maybe there could have been giants, right? Because island dwarfism exists, but so does its opposite, island gigantism. So if we have hobbit humans, dwarf humans with the Homo floresiensis, maybe we have giant humans or hominids or something somewhere. I mean, we have giant primates. We have Gigantopithecus. I can't say that word. There was a giant primate at some point in history, but maybe there could have been giant humans as well. I mean, who knows? It's fun to look at it and fun to look at the myths around it. And I find it an interesting topic for sure.
Have you ever thought, because this is an idea that I've often considered, is that at the point where, and I could be just, I haven't studied any of this stuff. So maybe you can call me out here if I'm way off base. But if we were looking at a worldwide like lowering of sea levels by quite a bit, and we're looking at megafauna and all sorts of vegetation and stuff that would have been increasing the oxygen output in our world. We're looking at a much higher oxygen level. We know that things in hyperbaric chambers can grow to massive sizes beyond their normal capabilities when put in an environment of extremely high levels of oxygen, right? If we existed in an environment like that because of those lower sea levels and this massive amount of extra land and vegetation around the world, could that have something to do with these larger sizes of things around the world? It's always something that I've kind of riffed on. I have I haven't dived into any of that, but that's often something that I've kind of considered. Maybe when you start getting up into like the 30 and plus and up percent oxygen, because I don't know where we're at right now, like something like 21% atmosphere oxygen or something like that, I think. But I don't know.
That's such a, I'd never heard that before, but that is so true. Like, especially about the hyperbaric chambers, like how big things do get. So I don't know, to me that tracks. If there's more oxygen, things get bigger. And it's like, we don't know how gravity fluctuates. Like we just don't. So I know that if we had like a little bit, I can't remember if it's a little bit more or a little bit less gravity, then bugs would be massive. So I'm grateful that's not the case.
I'm glad that's not true. Yeah. Especially living in Texas. Our mosquitoes are already big enough. You guys don't even have mosquitoes, do you guys over there?
Nope. Well, we do technically, like up in Scotland. Yeah, we got midges and things like that.
Mosquitoes, though. They're
just like
they're just annoying. Yeah.
Yeah, you don't get eaten alive. You got to get to the continent to get eaten alive by those bugs.
You guys don't have ticks either, huh?
We do have ticks. We do have ticks.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I think so.
But we don't have any like big scary animals. Like I was explaining that to John as well when I first moved to North Carolina. I was like,
you guys killed them.
Like
we had wolves.
We did have wolves. We have foxes. That's probably the biggest thing we have. They really don't.
That's not very scary.
Yeah, like foxes, just idiots.
Unless they're rabid. Have you ever seen a rabid fox running around? That's kind of scary.
No, so I've seen them in my bloody garden, though.
If that was all land at one point, it seems like Danny Hillman's out there doing great work on some archaeological sites. He's working at Penang. I always say it wrong. Penang Gadang. Yeah, and he's doing great work out there. I have a friend Megan who's out there working with him right now and helping him. And it'd be interesting to see what else might be found just off the shorelines of some of these places.
I mean, the Sunda Shelf, which is that whole area just above the islands we were talking about, was, that's one of the prime real estate of the Ice Age, because that's where, when the sea levels dropped, that was all land, and that's all been now covered since the rising sea levels 12,000 years ago. So that is obviously very near Gunung Padang. So that would be an extremely interesting place to look if we could look, but obviously it's all underwater and maybe it's all been lost. But that whole area of the world is very interesting and could well be. I think it's one that Graham lists as his most likely candidates for a potential lost civilization. But I think there's definitely many mysteries there hidden beneath the sea. Are
you looking to get out and start exploring the world a bit more?
I'd love to, man. I'd love to. I mean, I'm hoping that that's what this channel kind of gives me the opportunity to do, right? Is to get out to these places for myself and see them in person, because that's the dream, because I've hardly been to any of the sites I talk about. Like, I've been to Stonehenge, I made a video about that. I've been to Malta, I made a video about that. And I've been to quite a lot of like Roman sites and Greek sites through my degree, but they're not the ones I talk about because they're, you know, not very controversial. So I haven't been to Egypt, for example. I haven't been to Turkey, Göbekli Tepe, Taştepeler, all of that. I haven't been to South America. I haven't been to Indonesia. You know, there's so many places I'd love to go. So yeah, I'm hoping to get that opportunity with this channel. But we'll see. Hopefully I've got to keep going, you know, and then maybe I'll build up some funds to do that. But
there you go. I hope
Heck
that works.
yeah, for sure.
Amazing.
I do too. And I don't know. I'm gonna, as soon as we're able to, I'm gonna tag along with Mike on all of his trips.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, just baby in tow.
Yeah, pretty much. Well, that's what I was. I was that baby in tow at one point. It's just like whatever. Yeah. Just like catch on up, not when they're a toddler. Fuck that. But okay, so I want to pivot a little bit now and talk about the Kalambo structure, because we talked a lot about you know, that sort of coastal region where realistically, I don't know, I'm with Graham on this. Like Occam's razor, we would have built next to the ocean. You get all the different types of food, you get access, like people, like humans need water. We're mostly water. So I'm going to get the map up on my end, but there was we talked about it just before we went live, the 500,000-year-old structure. Talk to me about this, because like
yes.
what?
So I love this. I think this is like the biggest smoking gun that humans.
Oh, I wrote about this. Sorry, not to cut you off.
Yeah,
I know. I was just like, what is it called? I was like, oh, this is that thing that they found. Yeah, I wrote about this for Daily Caller. Heck yeah.
Yeah, so I think it's like the biggest smoking gun that humans were incredibly intelligent and sophisticated a long ass time ago, right? Because, you know, the story always has been that humans weren't particularly intelligent until quite recently, that we didn't have the capabilities to plan and engineer and build a structure. And before this was discovered, the earliest structure was thought to be, you know, around the time of the Neolithic Revolution, only 12,000 years ago. And then suddenly they discover this in Zambia a few years ago, and it's 476,000 years old, you know, almost 500,000 years old, well over 400,000 years old, older than the previously known structure. So in my opinion, that kind of shoves everything way back, right? I mean, that date is older than the earliest fossilized remains of Homo sapiens. So it may not even be our species. It is actually attributed to Homo heidelbergensis, which is a different species. So if it's them, it implies that they're extremely intelligent as well. But almost more kind of paradigm shifting, what I think this implies is that humans perhaps weren't nomadic, because if you're building a structure, right, maybe you're building, they think it was either a house, a dwelling, a hut, or some kind of raised walkway, a platform kind of thing. So if you're building that, like, you're not necessarily moving around in a nomadic band of hunter-gatherers. You're possibly staying put. You're building structures. You're settling down. You're living in a permanent settlement. You're living in a permanent community where you build things. And the fact that this thing has survived at all is just so ridiculous. Like, it's so unlikely that this piece of wood that was joined and connected together and tapered and secured at right angles then fell into a bog like relatively soon after its construction, and then that bog was like solidified over, and then it was preserved in this sediment for 500,000 years, and then we found it. Like, it's unbelievably unlikely that that's all going to happen, that we're going to find it. But what that implies, right, is that there could have been absolutely loads of these. There could have been so many structures, not just in this place, but all over Africa, all over the world. Like, there could be so many structures that have been lost to time for the simple case that wood decays, right? Wood doesn't last the test of time unless in extremely unique preservation circumstances, which is what happened here. But that suggests there could have been so many more. And then you look at other sites that are attributed to Homo heidelbergensis. Like, there's a site called Geisha Benot Yaakov in, you're never going to spell that, Sammy. It's in modern day. It's in Israel.
Even try.
Yeah, it's in modern day Israel, and it's there's no structures there, right? But there's lots of evidence of permanent living, of people living there all year round. They had food supplies all year round. They had distinct spatial zones where they just did different activities. And I would suggest that because we know that Heidelbergensis or whoever built this could build structures, then if we are seeing evidence of humans living in permanent settlement all year round, and Geisha Benot Yaakov is in a completely exposed environment, there's no cave, there's no natural shelter nearby, they're living in that place all year round. They had to have built structures, right, to protect themselves from the elements. You don't live out in the cold open air all year round without anything to protect yourself, because you're just going to die. Like, you're not going to survive in like the cold depths of winter if you haven't got something to protect yourself. So I would say it's a far more simple explanation to say that they built wooden structures there, and that then those wooden structures have simply disappeared, then the mainstream interpretation, which is that they constantly migrated to that site from like a place of natural shelter, which just makes no sense at all.
Yeah,
I would say that Occam's razor clearly favors that they built structures and wood decays, and that's from 800,000 years ago, and that's crazy.
And they do that. They do that explanation all over the world at sites, you know, especially like there's like in America, they can't attribute places like Chaco Canyon as just like some kind of established settlement. Instead, it's this ritualistic spot where people would travel to and then leave instead of being a permanent settlement.
Even Göbekli Tepe, they say that about Göbekli Tepe.
Yes,
well, this is why I pushed back last. It wasn't last week, the week before, when we were chatting with Hugh, because he pushed the sort of like hunter-gatherer narrative, and you know, I think I was polite about it. I was like, like, you're telling me that they made clothes. We already know that there were huge amounts of like animal bones found there. And then agriculture just so happened to pop up like just down the road. Like, why would you build something and then bugger off for half the year and just leave it there when that doesn't make any sense? We don't do that now. There's literally nowhere on the planet that we do that with. So why are we going to say, like, I think it's because people often come back to that sort of like, it's a ritual place. Oh, it must be something to do with like mysticism. Maybe it's not, maybe it is, but maybe it's because we build religious centers out of stone and we build homes out of wood. Like the reason that we don't have ghost towns, right, in North Carolina is because the forest will inhale any wooden structure. It inhales half the brick structures that get left behind. Like, you know, we see these little like outcrops here and there in the middle of someone's field. It's not that, you know, the farmer has left the trees in that one particular patch to grow. It's that that's where his granddaddy's house was. No one pulled it down. They just let it grow up, and no one wants to go in and deal with like the expense of like bush hogging and ripping that place to shreds just to expand the field another, you know, like 3,000 square feet or something like that, or even less than that in many cases. Like, I just think it's, when we look at, you know, if we're going to keep on the theme of like patterns, when you look at patterns of behavior, not only is it that, you know, humans build quick structures out of wood because it's easy to do, it's readily available, and it's what we've always done throughout history, but we've also destroyed or let those places be destroyed throughout history. Like, you know, that whole idea of like tearing down paradise to put up a parking lot. You know, if it wasn't for listed buildings in the UK, how many of them would have been ripped up to turn into like a Debenhams? Like how many, you know, the old terrace houses would have been ripped down to turn into, you know, like those prefab mansions, things like that. Like this is just like normalized human behavior. And you can't have normal human settlement, like long human, like lengthy human settlements without agriculture. Like you just can't, you can't have like one without the other, because either people freeze or they starve. So yeah, I just think it's just, maybe we should get some kind of like mainstream corporate big archaeologist on here, Mike, to try and explain that away, because I don't think any of us being so, I mean, I'm probably the least in the field of everyone. I just like, you know, hang out. But I don't think any of us have ever heard a good enough explanation as to why that is. Like that sort of idea that, you know, we've always just been these nomadic hunter-gatherers, when the evidence doesn't really suggest that at all. Also, I just want to point out that I was wrong about the Kalambo structure, because it is right next to a waterway. It's right next to the river. And like, especially if there's a bog there. I also was just thinking like, how funny that the people who put that together probably saw it fall into the bog and were like, fuck, I just lost that thing that I just spent ages building. And then, you know, like million or 500,000 years later, it's like revolutionized our understanding of our field of science. It's just like, I love how God does stuff like that. He's just like, don't worry, there's a bigger reason for it. Yeah. You guys will figure it out in 500,000 years. Oh, it's so ridiculous.
Are there any estimates to how extensive that area might have encompassed? That with these types of structures, or is this just not even a line of thought that's being pursued?
No, I mean, we barely got anything. I think they've just got that structure and then a few tools, and then that's it. Because I mean, it's just so unlikely that anything's going to survive. So they just had what survived right there. But my argument is that, this is clearly advanced cognition. This is clearly advanced intellectual planning and thought, foresight, and engineering, and so many things. What does this imply? But yeah.
What part of that's in Africa? What
it's in Zambia.
Which is
yeah.
south?
It's like,
it's kind of like southish, but like a bit up.
yeah.
On the west.
I'm not actually sure, mate, to be honest.
Yeah,
Somewhere
I know.
It's towards the west coast. I just had it up here.
What do I need to pull up? What map am I pulling up right now?
The Kalambo
Zambia.
structure in
Oh, I
Zambia.
thought I had it up. Okay.
Location of Zambia.
Yeah. Michael, I want to know, like, what some of your, like, what are the big history mysteries? Like, what are the ones that keep you up at night? What are the ones that sort of, like, really set you off? Obviously, there's a few that set me off. There's a few that set Michael off as well, but he's very good at holding back and not getting angry about it on the stream, because he's a grown-up. But what are the ones that kind of, like, really just grind your gears that could make you filibuster?
I don't know, I mean, it's kind of all of it just combined into one, because go down all these avenues. I'm like, so much was happening back then and we've just lost it all. I mean, so much of the kind of stonework and the evidence of more advanced engineering that we see in many sites kind of grinds my gears, because that's like quite good evidence, like the kind of stuff that Uncharted X and Ben covers on his channel. Like, I think that's really good, because that's quite clear evidence that they had sophisticated, whoever they were, had sophisticated techniques in working stone, right? And I feel like that's something that gets brushed away by archaeologists who don't have the understanding. I'm not saying that I have the understanding, but some people, engineers, have the understanding that allows them to say, like, this is incredibly sophisticated stuff. But someone who's more like me, who's a more kind of artsy archaeologist, kind of art student, doesn't
just
really.
Because you're qualitative doesn't mean you're just artsy fartsy. Don't worry.
Thank you. But I have like no engineering background or anything like that. And I feel like that's the same for many archaeologists and Egyptologists and people in that field. So they can't necessarily see what's in front of them because they don't have the training. And because archaeology is such a small field, right? There's only a few people in, analyzing these structures, and it's a tiny field of a very similar type of person that goes into that field. Not to be too generalizing, but I think that's true. They don't notice these inconsistencies. They don't notice these things that seem to scream advanced precision way back when it shouldn't have occurred. And that kind of annoys me, because I wish they'd like bring in engineers, but I think maybe they don't, because when they do that, they come up with potentially alternative explanations. So that kind of grinds my gears. I mean, so much of it grinds my gears. We'll be here all night, but that's what my YouTube channel is for.
Yeah, exactly. It's a nice little, it's like therapeutic, I can imagine, as well, putting that stuff together.
Yeah.
Like, Mike, I know you get so much therapy from the places that you travel to, and like seeing these places in person. I think it's great. And I just get to sit back and listen to you guys go off, which is my therapy. I sit there with my feet up, just like, yeah. You guys get angry and do all the work. But I guess as we're sort of like wrapping up here, yeah, Mike, I mean, I think it'd be pretty ignorant for us to say, like, I think everyone watching knows who you are, where to find you. Obviously, all the links are in the description, but where would you like people to go and find you? And what are you working on next? Give us some spoilers.
What are you working on next?
Yeah.
I mean, so people just, my YouTube channel is where to find me. So just type in my name on YouTube. Hopefully I come up. That's where I do my videos. So that's where I am. What am I working on next? I'm doing quite a few things, to be honest. Trying to think of what's out. I just done a video about Where to Larko, which I know you spoke about with Will Brown on here. That's come out.
You love Will. Heck yeah.
Will's great. Yeah, he's great. People should check him out. His video on Where to Larko is brilliant as well. It's better than mine, but people should check it out for a full deep dive. I'm doing a video on Baalbek, but it's quite a brief kind of overview on it. I'm doing a video on this genetic bottleneck that occurred where, actually I think this is out as well, where it occurred where 95% of all men got wiped out about 5,000 years ago, but women were completely untouched, which is pretty interesting.
Wow.
Wait, what? Like, okay, let's not bury
Yeah, it
it.
is out.
They
Yeah, it's the
used to
top one.
think that was like Toba or something like that. Like that's what they thought the genetic bottleneck was.
Yes, this is a
That's
different one. This one's only
wild.
from 5,000 years ago, so
5,000
it's very
years ago.
recent. But it only affects men, right? So that suggests it's human on human, like violence kind of thing, rather than a
It was a
natural
vaccine.
disaster.
It was definitely a vaccine.
Or a vaccine, yeah, an ancient vaccine.
Immediately censored.
Yeah. So yeah, I did a video on that. I mean, I'm doing a video on, I can't even remember, but loads of things, loads of historical mysteries will be coming soon from Michael Burton. So check it out.
Heck yeah. Everyone go and subscribe, please, immediately.
And Michael's speaking at the you're speaking at the Quest for Ancient Civilizations conference. Less than a month. What? We're only a few weeks out. Do you got your script ready? Are you all?
I haven't got my script ready. I know what I'm going to talk about.
I don't feel so bad anymore because
I'm the one writing your script. I feel bad. I feel bad.
Oh, that's why I don't feel bad.
Yeah, exactly. I'm getting on it. I promise. Oh. Are you going to give us any spoilers as to what you're talking about, or do you want to wait until?
So it's going to be about human intelligence, because that's the drum I'm really trying to beat, because I think that's something that's not appreciated by mainstream science, and I think is easily provable with evidence from mainstream science. So I'm going to be talking about how old intelligence is, how old I think intelligence is, how prehistoric humans way back were incredibly capable of displaying advanced thought. So it's going to be about that kind of thing with a few other things woven in. So make sure you get your tickets and come see me.
Heck yeah. Go get your tickets. Link in the description right now. And so this was a pre-recorded interview. So for everyone in the chat, this is so weird. I have to talk about myself in the future.
I was gonna let you keep. I was about to jump in, and I was like, "Now let's see what she does with this."
Yeah. So I'm in the chat in real time, and I'll try and answer some questions after we wrap up the interview here. But Kay in past K, which is me now. Oh, this is getting really weird. But yeah, so sorry we couldn't answer any questions in real time on the stream today, but please keep your super chats coming in, because we will. And also get your tickets to the conference so you can ask these lovely gentlemen all of your questions in person, because that's like the coolest way to do it.
Yeah, it's gonna be good to see you again, man, and hang out and shake your hand. Have you done one of these conferences before?
I haven't. No, this is the first time I've ever done any kind of public speaking, so be warned.
Oh, okay. Yeah. All right. Well, I've gotten the sense, and from us hanging out, when we did in the UK, that we're very similar in a lot of ways. I'm very introverted and usually very reclusive. And so just a fair warning, conferences can be a bit overwhelming. So just be prepared. I start preparing myself for stuff like that for like a month out for something like a conference, but I'm leaving for Egypt on Saturday, doing a tour for like a little over a week, and then coming back, and I'll be back for like 4 days or 5 days, and then immediately to the conference. I'm pretty much think I'm just going to shut everything off for the rest of December after the conference and hide away for a month. Maybe peek out once a week for the live stream.
Yeah. Well, I think that's like a pretty good plan, though. And it's so funny because you're both so personable. Like, pre-COVID, you'd be like the ultimate pub buddies. You go sit down there. And that's kind of like why we really started the live stream. We're all, we're all over the world. And we wanted it to feel like, instead of going down to the pub and having a couple of pints with your friends. I mean, obviously I can't drink right now. Don't really drink much anyway. But, it's an opportunity for us to all get together and to just, prevaricate, shit talk, and dig into all the cool sciencey stuff that we like really care about. So really appreciate you coming on doing that with us today, really Michael. Yeah, and I'm like so jealous you guys are going to be able to do it in person at the conference.
Well, thanks so much, guys. I really appreciate the invite. It's been great fun. And looking forward to meeting everyone in Scottsdale and meeting Mike again and meeting all the beautiful people that come along. So looking forward to it. Dude,
it's such a cool lineup as well. Like, it's such a cool lineup. So well done, Mike.
Randall on there now. It's great to hang out and meet Randall. And and so that'll be like just barely over a year, you'll have gotten to hang out with Randall, Graham, Joe Rogan.
It's been a crazy year, man.
Bro, you're knocking it out, dude.
Yeah, if you don't need any more signs that you're doing exactly the right thing,
100%.
Yeah, like you can't stop. Like,
thank you guys. Thank you.
I can see you on I can see you once someone finally takes over the BBC and brings it back to the British taxpayers and kicks China out. That's not what this live stream is about, but yeah, China's infiltration of the BBC has not been great. I can see you having, I can see you having your own show on there. I think it's going to be huge. I think this is just the beginning. Yeah, this is awesome. Well, thanks, guys. Chat, I'm going to be hanging out for a bit after this, answering any of your questions, anything like that. So stick around. But yeah, everyone go follow Michael and go get your conference tickets and look up the Japan tour. I mean, by the time this is out, I don't know if there's going to be any tickets left for the Japan tour.
We launched 2 weeks ago where we hit, since while we were streaming, we sold 2 more tickets. So we're over 40. We're at like 42 people now. So it's going to be a big tour. We just increased it to 60. So because of demand, so there's more spots available. So you grab them while you can, I guess is what I would say. Yeah. And the post and pre-tour add-ons are really cool. We got a manga and anime themed add-on on the end of Japan. But yeah, thank you, Mike, so much. It's great to catch up with you again. I look forward to seeing you. Golly, what, like 2-3 weeks? 3 weeks?
Soon, even sooner when this will come out. Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, looking forward to it. Awesome. Thank you so much, guys. I loved chatting to you today.
Thank you.
Oh, we'll get you back soon.
All right.
All right. See you later. Oh, there we go. I hope you can all hear me. Thank you so much for sticking around and watching the interview with Michael. For some reason, I thought we had more time. I thought like Mike and I wittered away for a while after that. I guess we didn't. But yeah, it was a really fun chat. Parske had way better hair and makeup done than Kay, because Kay right now is tired as heck. It's late. But we've had so much fun, and the chat tonight was just absolutely on fire. So I want to go through a couple of things that people were posting, and just reiterate, everyone go and get your tickets for the conference, or get your tickets to watch the live stream of the conference, because along with Michael, we also have Randall. So Jamie posted, watching Randall before bed can make for some crazy dreams. I'm going to do this and test it because I have had insane dreams since I got pregnant, and I think it would be really fun to have some Randall inspired dreams. I am also kind of scared because the last time I interviewed Randall, which was a few years ago now, we were sitting there looking at a handful of graphs and maps and things like that I had studied in university, and kind of just really realized how how bad these cataclysms can get and how big and scary they can be. Really glad we don't have an ice sheet up there anymore, because yeah, if you've ever read his stuff about the sort of Great Flood, or watched any of his stuff about the Great Flood, it'll give you straight up nightmares. So I don't want any nightmares. But yeah, Randall is the best. I'm so stoked he's going to be at the conference, even though I can't be there in person. I'm just stoked he's going to be there. So next up, one of the other things that I also asked the chat was, who else would you like to see on the show? In the run up to the conference, we've mostly tried to focus on people who are going to be at the conference, people who inspire us, people we've known and worked with for a long time. Obviously, we still have a lot of people left on the list that we didn't manage to get to on the live stream pre-conference, who are going to come hang out with us afterwards and in the new year. But I did ask, who else you guys would like to see? And I thought this was a really great answer. This is from Ian. He says, I think having non-experts on would really help build community and be super fun, bring more ideas and theories to the debate. I agree. There's like a handful of podcasters that I watch who are sort of the first ones who spring to mind, and they're podcasters who interview people like Michael Button, you know, people like Ben from Uncharted X, and, you know, Jimmy, like we could just go down the list. And I think getting those podcasters on to talk about it, because when you've been exposed to so much of this information over the years, it's like you don't have to be like Michael Button or me and like have a degree in this stuff. Like you can, like, in fact, I highly recommend against degrees personally. I think they're a waste of time and money. You're going to get way more out of everything you love if you take academia out of it. But yeah, I think having people who have that sort of that passion, that interest in this field come talk about it is going to be great. Like another person I was thinking about was like AJ, obviously from Y-Files, our generation's Art Bell, if you will. We'll get AJ on. I don't know. I know how hectic and crazy AJ's life is right now, so I also don't want to add anything else to his plate. And then this was another really interesting one here from Past Politics. I think your name's Paul, right? I can't remember in real life. I have pregnancy brain. I agree that I think a lot of the archaeologists at Göbekli Tepe would refuse to come on the show. Yeah, because they do block and rage against us and call us racist when we ask very normal questions. But having Klaus Schmidt's widow, who I'm not even going to try and pronounce her name, but God bless her, I would love to speak to her about her work, his work, etc., etc. I think that would be really cool. And then I think like workers, volunteers. So this is a great suggestion here from Sean. One of the things that you'll realize, especially if you watch Mike Wandering Wolf's regular channel, you know that you very rarely see archaeologists at archaeological sites. Most of the people who work there are day laborers, volunteers, and people who, you know, are employed to give the tours and stuff. They spend way more time at these sites than actual archaeologists. So I really do think that they would have much more to say than the people who are kind of paid to say a certain thing and have to wait for the peer review and ding 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 ding. So yeah, I think that's a really, really, really good suggestion. And there were so many other incredible suggestions in the chat. We're not going to get to them all tonight. It was very active. And I can see that people are kind of like falling off the stream, which I get. I'm not as interesting as Michael, and I completely understand and respect that. And I'm grateful for everyone who hung out while he was here. Like we said, we're going to have lots of other big interviews as time goes on. And I'd also just like to give a big shout out to everyone in the chat who kind of engaged in like some of the debate, I guess, tonight. Like we went from everything from the debate on Polynesian islands and how people really traverse the world to, you know, I think, what was the most recent one? There was like something really interesting on here, and I'm getting pregnancy brain again. Oh, illegitimate scholar, you freaking legend. You were just getting well into it tonight. I'm freaking here for that. Oh, here we go. This was an interesting one. I don't know how I'm going to pronounce this, but rebooting histories. Again, thank you so much for hanging out in the chat tonight. But saying the Bigfoot is Gigantopithecus. Nailed that pronunciation. You're welcome. I love this. I'm going to look into it, dig into it. I think that would, I don't know. I think that's pretty freaking cool. And I think they're still out there. Why not? I want to believe. Who, you know, everything's real until you prove to me that it's not. Oh, and this was another interesting one too. These ideas that Tolkien's Middle Earth was simply the Ice Age world around Europe. I've heard similar theories about, oh God, I didn't watch the show, but it was on HBO and everyone watched it and they'd murder people brutally in it. Oh my god, Noah Dragons. Chat, you know the show I'm talking about. It's literally one of the most famous shows in modern history. I did not watch it because it was just not for me. I'll remember it as soon as I like Game of Thrones. Thank you, Chris Newbury. You freaking legend. Love you. Thank you. Game of Thrones. Heard very similar theories about Game of Thrones being kind of based on all of that. And the one thing I will say that I like about this, so I'm Welsh, and I don't know if you guys know this, but our flag, this is where I need Sammy. The Welsh flag is the red dragon. And King Arthur was Welsh. Arthur, Pendragon, head of the dragons. Whenever any other culture tries to claim Pendragon or like King Arthur, I like to stand up and be like, no, piss off. His name Pen is the Welsh word for head. If you want to say I've got a headache, you go, my pen dost gonna be. I think that's how we said it in Welsh. I can't remember. It's one of the words I used to use to get out of class. But King Arthur was definitely Welsh. Dragons are our thing. King Arthur was king of the dragons, and that's facts as far as I'm concerned. You're welcome. So yeah, Game of Thrones in England was all of the UK, but yeah, I really like that theory, which is so funny because I love all this ancient history stuff, but then shows like that, and even like I have such a respect for Lord of the Rings, but I don't get into it. You know, like I have friends that listen to the Lord of the Rings soundtrack while they were giving birth and stuff, and I'm like, I don't like it that much, but good for you. Like, very cool. But anyway, chat, you guys are the freaking best. I think we've had a fun night tonight. I love that there were basically no questions. Oh, can we buy tickets at the site? That is actually a really good question about the conference, which I will ask Mike. I will text him right now, even though it's like 4:00 in the morning in Egypt. Can people buy ticks at the site for conference? And we will answer them in next week's chat. Or if anyone has any follow-up questions, please feel free to just DM me on social media. I will read it. It might take me a second to get to it, but I will absolutely get to it. Rue, as always, loved having you in the chat. Dash Ali, so Dash, you're new and I really like you. You're very sweet. Been saying some really nice things. You're interesting, Kay. I try to be. I think that's a nice way of saying I'm a bit fruity. More knowledgeable than any of my past teachers, except for one called Mr. Barrett, who encouraged me to think outside the box, and he was also Welsh. It's because us Welsh are a little bit, you can't grow up in Wales and not have a certain degree of being away with the fairies. It's not something that we love to do because fairies are actually really scary. But we've always liked to think outside of the box. Well, we were the culture that the Romans had to basically integrate with because we were like, no, you're not going to conquer us. We're going to eat you if you try and conquer us. So you can come hang down for a hang, but we have our thing that we do in the way that we do it. We're not just going to do what you tell us to because you're telling us to and because you're getting so angry about it. Oh my God, calm down. That's basically how Welsh people talk to Romans. You're welcome. And thank you, Dash, for those lovely comments. There was another one you said earlier that I thought was very sweet, but I can't remember what it was now. So yeah, it's about 9:30 here on the East Coast. I'm bummed that the rest of the team isn't here. Kind of annoyed that the streamer, like the viewers, are now going up because I'm tired and I've run out of things to say. Probably caused the fall of Rome. Honestly, rebooting history, the Welsh probably did cause the fall of Rome because we were like, no, buddy, like you guys can become your church, which, I'm a Christian. I'm very much a Christian. But you guys can have your church instead of your empire. Britain became the bank, let's be honest. What they say, like Rome became the church. Britain became the bank. And I don't know, France became wine and cigarettes. I don't know. But there's another one. There's like a third one that became one of these like global institutions. A catastrophe caused it and started the Dark Ages. I don't know what that's in. I don't know what that's in the context of, but I love it. Chris Newbury, and I'm going to look into this. What caused the Dark Ages? I don't know. Maybe it was a weakening magnetic field. Wouldn't be surprised. Something like that. That would be cool. Rue, I love this. That Chaucer wrote that priests replaced the Fae. The priests were probably so scared of the Fae that that's why they don't have kids. Like, you ever dealt with a changeling child? Oh my god, I mean, Mike's going to be pissed at me now that I'm going off on these like spooky little tangents, but those kids are nightmares. So I think that's probably more likely. Rome got DEI also. I don't know what happened to Rome. It's kind of falling apart now. I was briefly famous in Italy once, for like 10 seconds. It was like a really nice time. But yeah, Italy is not what it used to be. Oh, wait, I did write down some stuff here. Okay, so the other thing that a few people mentioned was Michael's dissertation. So I will try and get my hands on it. The British undergrad dissertation is not something that necessarily goes through a strict peer review. It's usually like you'll have one professor who's like your guide, like will help you through it. And then you do have 2 or 3 maybe professors who will coach you and mark you on your dissertation. So I actually missed out on a first in my degree because I abbreviated a lot of words in my dissertation, because otherwise I was going to go over the word count. So instead of writing things like do not, I wrote don't, and I got marked down for that, which I personally thought was bullshit. But I do also think that most higher education is bullshit. So that tracks. Who cares? So I think, chat, we're all done here. I'm going to give you all another minute or two to just send in any other questions you have. I'm just pulling the chat up on my phone here too, because I keep staring at this and my light's there and it's hurting my eyes. And I'm just being so lazy and pathetic because I'm so pregnant. And again, just highly recommend. You can find me on social media at the handle down here. Send in your topic requests, send in your interview requests. If there's anyone you think that we should talk to who is, you know, not already on the sort of like current radar in this field. Also, side note, every single time I say the field of archaeology, I get this visual of everyone standing in a field, like doing excavation work. And it's just a pun to me, and I think it's hilarious. So yeah, just wanted to share that with you. Field of archaeology. I think it's a pun. But yeah, no, I think this was great. I think I had a really nice time. Rue, thank you so much. Good night to you too. Thank you for all the kind words. I'm absolutely going to go to bed. Highly recommend that everyone do the same. Even if you're on the West Coast, just go to bed. Who cares? COVID happened. There's no rules after COVID. You can go to bed at 5 p.m. if you want. The guy from Bright Insight. Oh, yeah, Jimmy. Jimmy is a superb human being. Really love Jimmy. He's a very old friend. We have been through a lot together. So, yeah, there's a lot of great people. But I'm going to click off now. Thank you, everyone, for coming and hanging out. Love you all so much. Go and watch all of Wandering Wolf's former videos or prior videos. Let us know what else you'd like to see. Let me know where you'd like me to send him next in the world. We'll just tell him, go this place, and he'll do it. Looks like midnight outside on the West Coast. Dude, it looks like midnight outside on the East Coast at like 4 o'clock now, and I hate it. That's how we live. Stupid daylight savings. Anyway, okay. Love you guys. Thank you so much for everything tonight. Thanks for hanging out with me. I think this went okay. Tell Mike it went okay. Even if you hated it, just tell Mike it went okay. And to everyone watching and to everyone who's just recently joined, you're late. And I love you. And I'll see you in a bit. Peace. Bye, chat.